Curtis Blaydes versus Junior Dos Santos takes place in the main event of UFC Fight Night 166 Raleigh this weekend. I can't wait for this fight. It's a big heavyweight fight, but right now in the heavyweight division, we're in a bit of a pickle. So if you're winning fights right now in the heavyweight division, you're in a really good position, because right now we're waiting on the Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier trilogy, which seems to be taking a longer time than expected to get done. And it's just going to be a matter of when Stipe Miocic versus DC3 is concluded, who's going to be sitting at the top of the heap? Is it going to be Ngannou? Is Rozenstruik going to beat Ngannou? Is Ngannou going to stay on top by beating Rozenstruik? Or is one of Curtis Blaydes and Junior Dos Santos going to sneak their way through with some activity? And if Curtis Blaydes does win, he's praying that Francis Ngannou loses. I feel like that's a given here. The winner of Curtis Blaydes versus Junior Dos Santos is praying with all their might that Francis Ngannou will lose to Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Because if Ngannou wins, this fight means nothing other than just to solidify themselves as a top contender and also get a big win under their belt and make some money in a main event. But other than that, if Ngannou beats Rozenstruik, this fight means fuck all in terms of title eliminations. Normally, a number 3 guy and a number 4 guy in a division fighting each other can only mean one thing. Winner's probably going to get a title shot. But when you've got a division in a situation that it's in right now with Ngannou right at the top of the rankings, he's beaten Blaydes twice now, so that's not going to work out too well for Blaydes. He's beaten Junior Dos Santos as well in his last outing. I mean, I look forward to this fight. The only way it means something is if Jairzinho Rozenstruik beats Francis Ngannou. That's the only time it's going to mean anything, because then the floodgates are open for the rest of the contenders to maybe have a shot. But we'll see what happens. I feel like Blaydes is going to get the big win here. I like Curtis Blaydes, I really do. I feel like people gave him a hard time because of his performance against Mark Hunt. And obviously it was in Australia, so he was going to get booed. But even still, people weren't too happy with his style, because what he was doing, he was taking guys down. But then once he got them there, he was like, I'm just going to keep you here. You know, like, there's no point me exerting energy. There's no point me risking throwing big, heavy blows, because I can just lay on you, like he did against Mark Hunt for 3 rounds, and win. But to be fair, since then he's picked it up a little bit, going on a big win over Alistair Overeem by TKOing him with elbows in the 3rd round. But again, that wasn't the most interesting of fights. He did stall in the guard a lot, but I feel like right now what we're seeing in Curtis Blaydes' game is an urgency once he gets into a good position. And you saw that against Shamil Abdurakhimov, who is a fucking beast of the division, okay? He could have been a dark horse of the division. If he'd have beaten Curtis Blaydes, all of a sudden, we're talking, I mean, we're going sizzler in the division right now, because Shamil would have been a real threat in that division. But Curtis Blaydes stepped in there, took out Shamil in home territory at UFC 242 Abu Dhabi with Khabib and the rest of the Dagestani-looking people, and got the job done against Shamil. And that really opened my eyes. He got a big win. I predicted him to win that fight just through size alone. And I think he's going to win this fight against Junior Dos Santos again. You're lying to me if you think that Junior Dos Santos is not showing up in worse and worse shape every time we see him go out there. He shows up in a tiny bit worse shape. He shows up a little bit more hesitant. I just feel like we're coming to the end of Junior Dos Santos' career. He's had 4 TKO losses recently as well. Obviously, the one to Cain Velasquez wasn't too long ago, but then, you know, another one to Overeem just a couple of years ago, and then Stipe Miocic a couple years ago, and then most recently Francis Ngannou really did him dirty. I just feel like Curtis Blaydes is going to be able to go out there and get Junior Dos Santos down. The only way Dos Santos wins this fight is if he stands his ground in the centre of the cage, much like people have to do against Khabib. Easier said than done, and get some respect from Curtis Blaydes with the hands. You can't just shoot on me in the middle of the cage. I'm going to make you pay for it, and I'm going to defend the takedowns. But if Junior Dos Santos does what he does very often, and is very hesitant in the fight, and maybe ends up giving up a lot of space in the octagon, and putting his back against the cage, like he did with Francis Ngannou at certain points, like he did with Stipe Miocic, like he did with even Derek Lewis at certain points as well, and Tai Tuivasa, when he's against the cage, he's in trouble. Okay? He managed to catch Tai Tuivasa with a counter shot as Tuivasa rushed in. But in every other scenario, when JDS is against the cage, it's not looking good for JDS. And when he comes out and controls the center of the octagon, that's where we see him really start to let his hands go. And that's what he needs to do against Curtis Blaydes. I just don't think he's going to be able to do it. I think Curtis Blaydes knows that he has to get Junior Dos Santos to the cage. He knows that that's where Stipe Miocic exposed a weakness in Dos Santos. Because if he can't go backwards, he's not going to be able to dodge anything coming his way. And if he's against the cage, Blaydes does a lot of his wrestling work against the cage. Done it to Overeem, done it to Justin Willis. We just saw him do it to Shamil Abdurakhimov. He loves the cage work in his grappling, much like Khabib. And I feel like he's going to do the same thing to Dos Santos. I think he's going to come out there and not just shoot a takedown on Junior Dos Santos. I think he's going to come out there and grapple with Dos Santos, but just muscle him to the cage. You know, because he can't go out there and try and play the stand-up game with Junior Dos Santos. Because although Curtis Blaydes has an amazing chin, I don't know if the stand-up game's going to work out too well for him. And that's where he needs to avoid. He needs to get a hold of JDS, get him in the clinch, and just raw muscle his way to the cage. Get JDS against the cage, and then start working some takedowns there. And hopefully as the rounds go on, even if he's failing takedowns against the cage, the power in the hands of Junior Dos Santos will start to fade, and Blaydes will be able to start maybe even taking over on the feet. Who knows? I love Curtis Blaydes. I love his endurance for the division. I think as a heavyweight, he's a fucking monstrous athlete. Obviously, he's no Francis Ngannou, don't get me wrong, but compared to the rest of these fucking saggy-titted heavyweights, he's a big fucking monster, you know? And I feel like he's going to have the strength advantage severely over Junior Dos Santos, and I think he's going to be able to get him down and TKO him in the second or third round. Nothing against Junior Dos Santos. I think Curtis Blaydes has got it, man. When you're looking at 28 years of age in the heavyweight division, that's like being 21 at featherweight. Honestly, the age of some of these heavyweights, I mean, you got Junior Dos Santos still doing a damn thing at 35. Stipe Miocic isn't much younger than him. Even Francis Ngannou, being new on the scene, is 33 years old. And he's the new guy. He's the new guy on the scene, and he's 33 years old. To have a guy who's 28, that trains with Overeem on a daily basis at Elevation Fight Team, that has a good team built around him for heavyweights, I think he's going to go out there every time and just annihilate. I think he's going to beat Junior Dos Santos. I think he's going to finish him due to ground and pound. Yeah. I don't get this move from Dos Santos. You just lost to Ngannou. Curtis Blaydes is coming off a 2-win streak. I don't get it. And I really don't get the move from Dos Santos. I think there were far easier opponents that Dos Santos could have gone after that were coming off of losses in the heavyweight division, much like Alexander Volkov at the time was before he made his comeback against Greg Hardy. I just think, obviously they tried to make that matchup and now they're ended up with this one. So, to be honest with you, I think this is a terrible plan from Junior Dos Santos. He should have come back, maybe even tried to reschedule the Alexander Volkov fight, because a fight with Curtis Blaydes for him at this moment in his career is very risky. Could he go in there and KO Curtis Blaydes? He could. He really well could, but Curtis Blaydes' chin is very good. Very good. People look at his record and say, oh, he got KO'd by Ngannou, but out of the people that got KO'd by Ngannou, I mean, who else was the ones that were complaining to the referee afterwards and talking to the referee about, no, you shouldn't have stopped that, I was still scrambling? No one. Everyone else was out fucking cold or shelled up in a ball on the floor. Curtis Blaydes was scrambling. He was getting back up. He was getting knocked back down. But against Ngannou, you're going to get knocked down. He was getting back up. He was talking to the ref. But he was just taking a little bit too much punishment. I like Curtis Blaydes' chin. I don't think JDS is going to be able to crack him on the skull unless we see Curtis Blaydes go out there and be a little bit gun shy and back himself into the cage, which will be the worst thing he could possibly do. I feel like we're going to get a Curtis Blaydes who goes out there with a single game plan, bully this man up against the cage, and drag him down and beat the shit out of him. And I think that's a very easy game plan to follow. Not too intricate. Get in there and do the damn thing. Curtis Blaydes gets the job done. The biggest fight of his career so far. Headliner of a main event of a fight night. Headliner of a main event, obviously the same thing. Main event of a fight night. Amazing opportunity for himself coming off a hot UFC prospect. Or no, just a hot UFC spotlight since the McGregor card. The weekend after is going to get some trickle over fans like, oh, I forgot about UFC. Let me watch this one. He's got a big opportunity. I hope he doesn't shit the bed. And I think he's going to win. I really do. 12-2, 28 years old. It's unheard of in the heavyweight division. I feel like he's going to get the job done. He's improving every time he goes out there. And Junior Dos Santos, I feel like this might be one KO too many. Even though it wasn't bad against Ngannou. What's happened since then? June 19th, or June 29th, 2019, Junior Dos Santos loses to Ngannou. In September and March, Curtis Blaydes fought, so he's more active than Junior Dos Santos. Curtis Blaydes is not on Brazilian dancing on ice. He just isn't. Curtis Blaydes is in the gym. So every time fucking Junior Dos Santos is doing a pirouette on fucking ice skates, Blaydes was in the gym with Overeem, training every day. Overeem is a guy who has experience fighting Junior Dos Santos. When Junior Dos Santos was doing a fucking plie and a fucking... I don't know, like, I don't see where this is going to go well for Junior Dos Santos. He's been out of the game. He's been on a fucking reality TV show. He's been injured and out of his last fight. Now he's looking to get back in there against the wrong opponent. Curtis Blaydes is going to win by third round TKO. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button there, and the winner of this one, we'll see. If Rosenstruik beats Ngannou, the winner of this one faces Rosenstruik. But if Ngannou beats Rosenstruik, then the winner of this one is kind of just fucked, and they have to face, I guess, Volkov or some shit like that. Or if Derek Lewis beats Ilir Latifi, maybe they can do Blaydes versus Derek Lewis in the meantime. But right now, it's a shitty time to be a heavyweight because DC and Stipe are holding that shit up for a very long time. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'll say click that button there again because it wouldn't have been there the first time I did it. But now it's there. So click it. Goodbye. I'll see you later.